Welcome to episode 170 of the Fully In It podcast. Do you ever feel like things would run so much more smoothly if you had a bit of a consistent rhythm to your days? Has something inside of you been indicating that maybe it's time to dial in your routines, both at home, possibly in business? If this is speaking to you, you are absolutely in the right place. This has definitely been on my mind. It's something I've been talking about for years. And also, it's just kind of that time of year where we really think about how we want to lead our homes, how we want to run our businesses. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Welcome to the Fully In It podcast with Kate Saffel, a show for powerful moms growing life-changing businesses while showing up intentionally for their families. I teach you how to create a family-first and profitable business in less time by leveraging simple strategy, mom life-friendly systems, and above all, the mindset of going fully in it. You ready? In all of my years of motherhood, which at this point is almost 14, I can confidently say that probably nothing is more appealing to a mother than having consistent rhythms and routines. It's kind of the holy grail of what I would say many of us are looking for, because without it, our days can feel really overwhelming and hectic and chaotic. And as any mom knows, if you don't have a plan, then you end up looking around your house and suddenly it is covered in messes. The kids are on a sugar high, and you have that sinking feeling of like, I got nothing done today. And that can happen whether you are a stay-at-home mom, you're a working mom, you are an entrepreneur mom. I think that that is a universal feeling that shows up for all of us. And, this conversation that I want to have with you around rhythms and routines, I feel like we have to just acknowledge really quickly that most of us do not have the village that maybe women from many generations ago would have had. They would have had help. There would have been shared meals and helping take care of the kids together and, just carrying a common load. And unfortunately, the way our society is set up has us more isolated than ever. We are lighthouses in our own homes. We're trying so hard to be all the things for our family, and yet it's kind of a bit stacked against you. I think it's important for us to just acknowledge that, because when you watch the YouTube vloggers, when you scroll on Instagram, when you see this very curated content, remember that's only part of the picture, and you don't know what is happening behind the camera. You don't know what their home life really looks like. You don't know what kind of support they have. And so we have to take all of that with a big grain of salt and know that nobody has a perfect life. Nobody is a perfect mother. And that given the circumstances of being women who often have jobs or businesses, we're managing so many different roles at once, and we're trying to be homemaker and typically primary parent, and we're the house cleaner, and we're the taxi driver, right? We're all the things. It's just a lot. It is a lot. And I just want to honor you in that. And I want you to know I see you in all that you do. And especially if you're listening to my podcast because you are growing and scaling a business and doing all of that, girl, hats off to you, because I'm in it with you and I know exactly what it's like. In fact, right now, I am sitting here in my car. Well, my truck. Actually, I drive a big F-250, which is like a whole other story. But I'm sitting in my big old truck outside of my daughter's dance studio. And I'm recording this because I have a really busy day. It's Saturday. We have big plans of things that we need to get done. I have about a month-ish before baby comes. And, I got to do what I can do. And so anyway, I've got my laptop, I got my microphone, and I have 90 minutes to record this episode, to edit it and get it to you. And maybe that might be encouraging to you. I know I get asked this a lot, okay, Kate, how do you record your podcast? Do you have a special studio? Do you have a whole setup? And I'm like, no, I don't. In fact, when I started my podcast, I was living in a camper. we were traveling full time back in 2018, and then we stopped traveling for 18 months, and then we started traveling again for another 2.5 years. And so I have recorded this podcast that maybe you've been listening to for a while, in vehicles, in campers, at picnic tables. Like I've recorded it everywhere. So all that to say, perfectionism is definitely the enemy of progress, and you got to let go of the perfectionism if you want to be a mom who can get things done and can hold all of it. Okay, so I got a little on a tangent there, but I want to bring it back to the rhythms and the routines. I tend to be someone who is spontaneous. You may know this about me. I like to have fun, but the older I get, the more I am just savoring having consistent rhythms and routines. When you're a really young mother, and you might be in that season right now, like you've got babies, you've got toddlers, your rhythms are your lifeline, right? Your kiddos, like the nap time, the meal times, there's a consistency to your day. And if you get off of that consistency, it really impacts things, doesn't it? So we want to remember that not only are rhythms and routines really good for children, they are incredibly beneficial for us mothers too. Because just like our children, deep down, we want to know what to expect, right? Like, I don't want to be flying by the seat of my pants every day. I don't want to wake up and stare down an entire day and not know what I should be doing. What are the most meaningful tasks that are going to get my family and I closer to our values and our vision? I don't want to just let my business be something I do when I feel like it. It can't be, because it provides such an important income to my family that we rely on. So there has to be rhythms and routines. There has to be consistency for me to succeed, both as a mother and as an entrepreneur. And so if this is you and you're listening to this, let this episode encourage you that, one, you don't have to be perfect, and two, that it's okay to desire more consistency in your day. So let's start with the basics, which is that your home is the foundation. So your home, when your home runs smoothly and you have a rhythm to your day, so you wake up around the same time, you do the same things throughout the day, you have a regular pattern to your meals and maybe outings that you do, whether that's running errands or going to the park or having play dates. What happens is it creates that reassurance not only to your brain, but to your children, so that everybody is on the same page, and that rhythm then becomes a habit. So habits are formed through consistency, and habits are those tasks that you can do from your subconscious. This is like your inner programming in your brain without having to give it a ton of thought. And that's really the goal, because you don't want to be waking up each morning and feeling that frantic, like, oh my gosh, okay, I need to make my coffee. The kids are asking for breakfast. I have no idea what's happening today. I think I forgot. Oh no, shoot, we have a doctor's appointment. Like, right, you know what I mean? You don't want to wake up and have that be happening. The goal is the habits. The goal is the routine. So how do you actually build toward this? Well, this is something that we've been talking about in the group coaching program I'm running right now for mom entrepreneurs. It's called Cash Flow Mama, and it's just my January program. And we've been talking through, how do you make time blocks? How do you make a to-do list that actually works? And these things will make such a difference for you. And so really the main things I want you to take away from this conversation today is that every night before you go to bed, or maybe first thing in the morning when you're drinking your coffee, you really need to know what you're going to be doing that next day. If you are a super overachiever and you're able to do this on a weekly basis, like maybe on Sundays you plan for the week ahead and you look at what's coming down the pipeline, that's wonderful. But if you're just a normal mom and it's hard to think that far in advance or prepare that far in advance, that's okay too. Do it the night before. Maybe before you go to bed, this becomes part of your bedtime ritual where maybe you make a cup of tea, you dim the lights, you light a candle. I've been really savoring the Christmas lights on our tree because I'm like, we need to take down our Christmas tree. I think it's about time. It's January 11th, so we should probably do that. But, right, like make it something special. Or maybe you take a hot bath and put some Epsom salts in the water and take a journal in there with you. Or if you make lists on your phone, you can take your phone in the bathroom. It's okay. All I want you to do, though, is be very clear about what your priorities are for the next day. This doesn't mean everything you think you should do, because that will overwhelm you. It's just what are the most meaningful tasks that need to happen. The second thing is looking at your week as a whole and the season of life that you're in and creating a consistent rhythm. So this means that there is a pattern to each day. And maybe there's also repeating themes for each day of the week. So maybe on Mondays, you focus on planning for the week ahead, maybe making phone calls, taking care of those kind of tasks. Maybe Tuesday is a cleaning day. I don't know. There's a ton of stuff on YouTube. I really like Fly Lady Cat. One of my dear friends, Jillian, she recommended Fly Lady Cat to me, and she's so peaceful. She's just got this really calming demeanor, and she talks about cleaning routines. So maybe that might be an area for you to lean into. And she talks about what rhythms to do every day. But here's the thing I just want to remind you of is that people on the internet, myself included, I don't know what's happening inside your home. I don't know what's the best rhythm and routine specifically for you and your family. And you've got to sit down with pen and paper and look at a typical week for your family and figure out where are things getting dropped? Where are you losing time, energy, right? Your momentum, your internal momentum. And problem solve for that. Because maybe the kids are getting super cranky every day and you realize you're feeding them lunch too late and they're hungry and then they're upset and then they don't want to take their nap and then now your evening routine is off. So take a holistic view at your entire day and figure out where you need to pivot and make changes. Now, if you are an entrepreneur mom like me, I think that there's some really great similarities between the two. Maybe you work from home or you work outside the home. It doesn't really matter. But you need to also know, when are you going to get your work done? A business doesn't grow if you aren't consistently feeding it. If it is always on the back burner, you're going to spend your time just keeping it alive instead of helping it to thrive, right? So where we put our attention is what is going to flourish and grow. So I think this is really an important moment to check in with yourself, depending on where you're at in business. If you are brand new to business, you're thinking about a business, you've started a business, you're in your first year or two of business, right? Any of those that you're not a seasoned entrepreneur and you haven't been at it for a long time. This is where you have to get really honest with yourself about, am I committed? Am I willing to put in the work to grow this? And if you're not willing to do it, if you can't see how your business is going to tie into your family vision and the importance of it, it may not be worth your time. And that's just kind of a tough love thing, right? Because I see this as I talk to so many moms who they really want a business. They think they want it, but they don't really want it. Deep down, they don't want it. And that's okay. I think you get to give yourself permission to want what you want. And, listen in to where God is leading you. But also you have to be really clear if it's just fear speaking, because the fear is not the truth. And sometimes fear will masquerade as truth, and it will try to convince you that you're not good enough, you're not ready, you don't have enough time, right? And these are really just excuses. They're there to keep you from achieving what it is that you're meant to accomplish. And so I always want to be the example for you too of I am a mother. I'm a mother who has put things on her plate that take a lot of time. Okay, so like I make choices for my family based on my values that are time consuming. I could do it easier ways. Like, I don't have to make homemade broth. I don't have to make bread from scratch. I don't have to cook meals from scratch. I don't have to homeschool my kids. These are all things that are super time consuming. And I choose to do them because they're part of my values, but they don't have to be part of yours. Obviously, you get to decide what your family life looks like, and that's beautiful and it's wonderful. But it's the same thing with business. Is I knew I was meant to have an impact in the world. The more I leaned into it, the clearer and clearer it became. The more I took those steps toward the business, the more I believed that as my truth. And I really had to come to terms with, am I willing to have more on my plate? Why does this matter to me? Why am I willing to do this? I didn't have to do it. Of course, when I first started my business, I just wanted to make enough money to cover our grocery bill, which, by the way, oh my gosh, when I started my business, our grocery bill was like, I don't know, maybe $500-600 a month, $700 a month, back in 2018. And now, oh my gosh, I don't even want to say on this recording how much we spend on groceries. If you're feeling it, girl, I feel it too. I just want to say groceries are out of control right now. But that was my goal back then. I was like, I just want to make $500-600 a month to put toward the grocery budget because this will be so helpful and I will take pressure off my husband. My husband is working so hard and I want to alleviate him on that. And then once I accomplished that, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Okay, what else could I create? And it just organically grew from there. So be honest with yourself about the business. If you are a seasoned entrepreneur like me, you've been in it for a while, you're not going anywhere, right? You're here for the long haul. You love your people, you love your business, you love the impact it's making in your family, but still you may have some messy rhythms and routines. You may not be showing up consistently because I think especially we get to a certain level of business and things just they have momentum. So they're rolling and you can still make money and the back end of your business and your home life be a mess. So this may be a moment for you to ask yourself, if I were to kind of clean up things at home and in my business, would it give me more peace? Would I actually maybe have a bigger impact and make more money because I wouldn't be putting out little fires all the time of things that I've accidentally glossed over, forgotten about, or just couldn't get to? So these are all things that you get to think about as part of this larger conversation around rhythms and routines. Now, I want to talk to you about some positives really quickly because I know I kind of came at you with the tough love. So here are the positives, like the fruit of you focusing on your family rhythm and routines. You're going to have more quality time together. You're not going to feel so stretched from moment to moment. And you, as the mama, will be able to sink more into a deeper presence with your children and your family because your brain won't be circling the drain around everything that is undone and everything that needs doing. And wouldn't that be amazing? You're going to be able to have regular game night or movie night or going for a hike on Saturdays because you're going to have already looked at your week and you're going to recognize, I don't want to clean on the weekends. I want us to go on a field trip as a family. And so you move your cleaning days to the week. These are all little shifts that you can make. If you're married, this is going to help your marriage because I don't know about you, but a messy and cluttered home that is chaotically ran is a wonderful recipe for marital fights. It truly is. But if you get your home on lockdown, right, and you just kind of know what you're doing every day, the kids know what's happening every day, your husband can get on board, he's going to know what's happening every day. Now we've got more peace. Now we've got space for connection and intimacy, and it's only going to help. So those are some of just like the basic fruits that come out of focusing on this. I think you have a wonderful opportunity after this episode to maybe just sit down with your journal, pen and paper, and just ask yourself, what needs to shift? What do we want our weeks to look like? Where are the balls getting dropped? Where are the gaps? Where am I losing energy? How can I problem solve for this? How can I get us closer to the home life that we dream of, that really reflects our values? And then if this was helpful to you, I love hearing from you. Your feedback, it helps, because I think I've said this before, but a podcast it kind of feels one directional, right? I'm like, well, I'm talking into the void. And I know that you're on the other side listening to this. So send me a message on Instagram. My username is @happierInMotherhood. That's my business one. And then I actually, like a week and a half ago, I had like a creative spurt, and I was like, I just want a space to talk about motherhood and home life and faith and travel, these other topics that don't always fit on my business account. And so I took an old Instagram account I had, I am Kate Saffel, and I just basically archived everything and started over. So you're welcome to come follow me there as well. I don't want to like confuse you. I've got, now I've got 2 Instagram accounts, but show up where you want. Send me a message. Let me know how this episode landed for you, what your takeaways were, what you're working on. I just love hearing, and I want to cheer you on. And if you feel so inspired to do so, would you please leave me a review on Apple Podcasts, because that helps other people know that, hey, this is a podcast worth listening to. It's worth their time. So I appreciate you so much. I hope that you have a wonderful week ahead. I'm going to keep putting these episodes out as long as I can before baby comes, and then you're probably not going to hear from me for a couple of months, and then I will be back on. But just know, I'm always here. I'm cheering you on. I'm grateful for you, and I will see you next time.